And the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about the liver function. And this is one of the things that herbalists focus on a lot is liver function because it's such a central organ to the whole entire body health. And the last two episodes, we've talked about the miraculous liver and how it functions. And also we've talked about liver diseases and just how common those are. But today, what I'm going to talk about is identifying liver toxins. So the things that actually poison our liver and disrupt our liver function throughout our life cycle. And this is going to be really interesting because I'm going to share with you what those toxins are, where you can find them, how you can avoid them, and also give you a link to some of the tools that you can use to really nail down exactly what toxins you're being exposed to. So we'll continue the subject in a minute. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little bit of a summary and going to share my screen with you now. So we'll just pop that up. This is where we got to last time, and we were talking about just how common liver disease is, and it's just unbelievably huge. This hepatitis, we often think of that's quite a rare problem, but millions and millions of people are suffering with hepatitis. And also liver disease that's not alcohol related. That was the biggest one, affecting 25% of the global population. That is massive. And also liver cancer, which arises from the above. And you might know that liver cancer is quite common and also quite lethal. So that's just a quick recap on last week where we ended. So what we're going to do now is go into some of these toxins. And this is quite unbelievable because the reason this is such a hot topic for me is because detoxing is one of the core things that we promote or talk about a lot as a way to heal your body. And it's often mocked at, or, there's people that are non-believers basically in detoxing that quite often say, your liver does that and you don't need a detox because your liver does it. But with the prevalence of liver disease, it's really worth looking into, well, what's actually causing this? Because you will often find in medical texts, and if you talk to mainstream medicine, is they don't really know, what's causing this liver disease in such a huge amount. And so some of these things could be quite surprising, really. So they're called liver toxins, but also hepatotoxins. So you might have heard of hepatitis. That's the hepato, which means liver. So hepatotoxins it's the correct term for liver toxins. And most of these are chemicals, but it's interestingly the breakdown byproducts of chemicals, because your liver is a chemical factory, it breaks down all the chemicals that come into our body, into our circulation, but it also produces or metabolites or break down metabolites of those chemicals. And those are actually worse than the chemicals themselves quite often. So it's the breakdown byproducts of these chemicals that are causing us the major problem. And this is probably the largest category that we're exposed to. They're called organic solvents. So these are solvents that you might find in your home. And so this is the surprising fact is a lot of these toxins are probably in our homes. And these include things, I've just made a short list here as an example. So paint thinners, degreasers, adhesives and glues, dry cleaning solutions, so cleaning compounds. There's also in manufacturing or production. So if you work in an environment where you're exposed to a lot of these kind of products, you're more than likely going to be exposed to liver toxins. And there's a full list here. So you can click on this. And if you want to look at this page, just use the QR code in the top corner there, and you'll go straight to this. And this gives you a really powerful tool where you can actually see the full list of solvents that may be in your home. But not only that, this tool gives you the exact product. So you can search for the products that you have in your home, and it will tell you if there's any of these organic solvents or toxins in them. And so the most common ones in our homes, obviously the things we use for cleaning, quite often, like upholstery cleaners or carpet spot removers, nail polish removers, varnishes. So if you're painting and decorating, that's a big one. And also things you might use on your car. So if you're cleaning your car, there's quite often a bunch of products that we have in our homes that we use on our cars. And the way they contaminate the body is either through ingestion. So, if you directly ingest something, but this one is probably more common, skin absorption or inhalation. And you can get a combination of those when you're working with these products, by hand. They might get on your skin, or you might breathe in the fumes. And what they do is they cause inflammation, dysfunction. It says here cytochrome P450. Don't have to remember that, but that's an enzyme in your liver that helps to break down the chemicals and to get them out of your body. So if that's not functioning properly in your liver, then you'll end up with a buildup of unprocessed chemical compounds in your liver. Mitochondrial dysfunction, so that's the actual energy inside the cells in our body. So if that's dysfunctioning, that can cause real problems. And oxidative stress. So oxidation is really just breakdown of and damage. It's like rust inside the body. And there's also a list available there, so you can look at your common household products, and that'll give you a bit more detail on those. Next category. Now, these are also liver toxins. So we're specifically focusing on toxins that affect your liver function. So cosmetics. Interestingly, a lot of these colorings, so the orange colored dye, yellow dye in the cosmetics, red coloring, and of course, a lot of cosmetics have this, don't they? Coloring. So we put them on the skin, on the lips, on the face, and they get absorbed in the same fashion through the skin and eventually affect the liver. But there's a whole range. So you've got soaps, shampoos, body care, body cleaning products, things you put on your skin, lotions and creams. There's a huge range of possibilities. And if you look on these labels, on these products, you'll see the lists of chemicals. This is a common one, triclosan, and these others here that you find in detergents as well. So the main factors that they cause disease or liver injury is the inhibition of bile transporter. So that's the bile that comes out of your liver, and that's very, very important for digestion. That needs to be flowing. Otherwise, you get jaundice. If the bile is not moving properly, which is a sign of liver failure, compromised liver cell structure, and again, bile accumulation. And you can check, there's a list available there to check your body care products as well and see exactly what toxins may be in those. So this is, to me, it's no wonder there's such a high prevalence of liver disease. And we're going to get to the most common one a little bit further down. Pharmaceuticals. Now, this is a big area of concern for the liver health. And I won't go into too much detail on this little bit here, but it's basically saying that Panadol or paracetamol, the simplest painkiller, probably the most common painkiller used on the planet, is known to cause liver damage. And you probably remember that you're only supposed to take 2 Panadol or paracetamol every 4 hours. And there's a reason for that, and that's because otherwise it could cause liver damage, and it's well known. So drugs in general cause liver damage or kidney damage. And that's because the chemicals and the compounds that are produced by the pharmaceutical companies and put into these pharmaceutical drugs are not natural. So they don't belong in the body naturally, in the body chemistry. They interfere, they block, they enhance, and they kill. So those are the basic functions of pharmaceutical drugs. So ultimately, these compounds interfere with our body chemistry and particularly with liver function. And drug-induced liver injury has become a major leading cause of severe liver disease in Western countries, poses a severe clinical and regulatory challenge. That's the first sentence there. And so it's well recognized, drug-induced liver injury. And you may have heard of people dying from drugs. It's actually, I think it was 15% of hospital admissions are basically drug-induced injury. So drug overdose or drug injury from actually using the drugs correctly, not even overdosing. So a big problem is drug-induced liver injury. So keep an eye on your prescriptions. Try to get off prescription drugs if you can and onto natural substances or alternatives. Try using the alternatives first. That's my suggestion. And if all else fails, a pharmaceutical should be a last resort. Fatty liver disease. This is the most common problem. And we talked about it earlier, right in the very beginning. 25% of the world's population have this fatty liver disease. So I thought this is worth just a few minutes having a look at. So what is fatty liver disease? You think of it maybe just a whole lot of fat accumulating in the liver. Well, in a sense, it is, but it only needs to be 5%. So you see there, if it's more than 5% of liver cells, and also when there's no alcohol involved. So that's the proper classification of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Of course, alcohol can be involved in liver damage, which is also, a liver toxin. But this occurs without alcohol. And the most common underlying factors are insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes. They play a role because it's largely to do with the consumption of processed sugars and processed fats and the consumption of these in high levels over a long period of time. And that's probably the most common problem we have in our society, modern affluent society worldwide, is the processed food industry is pumping the food, often with artificial or denatured sugars or fats or simplified carbohydrates of some form, trans fats, things that are really foreign to the body, and we overconsume those. And what tends to happen is the liver converts these over a period of time to glycogen stores in the liver, but then this overflows and we end up with fat accumulating in the actual liver cells where it shouldn't be. And this can cause eventually liver failure. So the liver just actually becomes stagnant and stops. And that is actually the most common liver toxin. So think of it this way: processed food is probably the number one liver toxin that we can classify. And that's probably one liver toxin that we can also avoid. So the key to this one is to go on whole food, unprocessed food, because you're not going to get too much sugar from eating fruit, and that's not going to cause fatty liver disease. You're going to get too much sugar or too much fat from processed foods, and particularly processed meats. And so you might want to have a little bit of a dig into this when you get to the page. There's some more information about sugar and fatty liver. And what I'm going to do next time is we will dig into what we can do to care for our liver, how we can heal our liver, what foods we can use and what herbs we can use, and really go specifically into liver healing and liver care. And I think this is going to be the fun part, because this is where we can really take some action. Apart from avoiding toxins, and it may be almost impossible to completely avoid them, but by introducing the liver healing, and this is another thing that's often forgotten, is that we can heal our liver. Our liver can regenerate in 6 weeks from being, I think, chopped down to 20% of its mass, and it can grow back as a full liver within 6 weeks. So that just shows the power we have to heal, the incredible healing power that our liver has. And it's going to be really fascinating to share with you the foods and the herbs that we can use to do that. So I look forward to talking to you again soon. And I hope this has been interesting. And please remember to take some action, to have a look at the page, click on the lists, and check out if you've got those liver toxins in your home or in your life, and start taking some action today. Thanks for talking, and we'll see you again soon.